You are watching Liberty Online TV.
This is Liberty Online TV powered by Orange Sierra Leone. Orange.
At Farmos, freshness isn't just a promise, it's our way of life. From raw and smoked catfish to kanya peppers, beignet, rice and gari kanya and natai. From premium crayfish, ogiri and fufu to smoked chicken, fresh eggs from the farm to the fridge, country chicken and garden fresh vegetables. Try our habanero pepper, gari, hot pepper sauce, pure honey and so much more. All locally produced, organically grown, harvested fresh every day, and hygienically processed. A fresher taste, healthier foods, stronger communities. Farmos, fresh from our farms to your home. Visit Farmos at 1 Fode Drive Hill Station, Freetown. Call +232 74 000044.
Country like Salon also every decision they touch the life of plenty people. One program they bring the voice of the people to the heart of politics.
This na Politics and the People, the program where they give the power to the people, explain the truth, and bring the leader them close to the citizen them.
Real discussion, real voice them, real impact. Join the debate and make them hear your voice.
Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Now you platform where they turn up for the truth and civil engagement. Only on Liberty Online TV.
Let me talk about politics.
Let me talk about people.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome to the final edition of the Breakfast Show, where they come to you live from Liberty Online TV, with the stream na Facebook, YouTube, and also na we website where they powered by Orange Sierra Leone. We will they bring this edition of the Breakfast Show come to you this Friday morning. My name na Khadija Bangura.
And me na Mabel Kaba. Good morning. Today na Friday, the 5th day of December, 2025. And inside this edition of the Breakfast Show today, after where the Minister of Finance been go lay the 2026 budget na Parliament, we don't get different people we don't kind of the studio for can talk about this particular budget, also na the priority areas concerns and where civil society gets and different other aspects we make na this edition of the Breakfast Show today. We decide for can hear from government, outside the financial secretary, na the Ministry of Finance, Mathew Dingie, they can tell we the areas where government prioritize na this budget, the strategies where them plan for use for implement the budget, and self-waiting citizens for expect from the 2026 budget. And that's what they discuss in this edition of the Breakfast Show.
All right, as you all know, the PPRC be levied a fine on the Sierra Leone People's Party and the All People's Congress APC Party. Well, then two party I don't pay them fine there. So and yesterday the SLPP been go pay them 150,000 new loans where them been find them. That you go get updates from, and also don't there plenty concern from Sierra Leonean them from the term where the US government been pull a press release and put Salon under ban among the countries them where not forget a certain category of visas, and this over the past few weeks concerned citizens then on the call on the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation for let it go talk to the citizen them also ide now with negotiation with the US embassy in Salon and SEF, that of the US State Department. Well, this morning the Minister of Foreign Affairs just make a statement through in Facebook page and try for encourage the citizen them, and he say it is see all and concern them. Well, on the phone I'll get Alhaji Musa Timothy Kaba. We quickly we can talk to citizen them on Usai Ide now in terms of negotiation. Good morning, Mr. Minister.
Good morning, Khadija. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Like I don't tell we viewers them over the past few months, we don't they see different people them they use the social media, they call on you and they ask you several questions. They tag you official handles them for let you go give them updates about USA you day now in terms of negotiation. I remember the way the ban be just happened. We host you now. You assure the public say you day negotiation with the US Embassy and that of the State Department. How far you don't go with the negotiation there, Mr. Minister?
Thank you very much, Khadija. According to the US Embassy in Salome, the decision with the State Department in America they make a decision where the way they stem from different data we then get back data when I long data way past 5 years where they indicate say some of the citizens are where they go that the United States they overstayed and they come especially in the categories of student visa and the B1 B2 one visitors and tourist visa. So when they finally make this decision not been based on waiting they happen in 2025, now historic data. So let me go back and rectify that situation. We don't try for work with the United States Embassy there, with the State Department, then do we start in checklist them in terms of transparency in the consular section, in terms of keeping the integrity of the consular section. And we don't work with internal stakeholders such as immigration, NCRA, and the police for ensure say we tick them requirement on the checklist. And now you don't see recently within the US government, the President Trump in social media and the Singapore reports say the incident will be happen now US will be involved this Afghan immigrant will get a green card out of anger, then decide say then they suspend the green cards of citizens of 19 countries. We include Sierra Leone in the same category of suspension will be happen in June. So this been very concerning. But as I tell you, it's a very, very, very difficult situation because every day you get Sierra Leoneans, especially students them, we don't get admission to universities, we can get appointments them, and their appointment and they for interview, whole with the suspension take effect. Similarly, you get families them where their dreams don't be shattered because they may don't win the DV lottery and then we don't also get dates slated for me to go for interviews. Then people are not able to go. So now dreams they don't die right in front of people. And so it's painful. Nobody no go in the right mind. No go in a public office like the one who's out there, when they pay you taxpayers' monies, where you know go put your last energy, your best strategy for make sure say this problem be resolved. And they will continue to work with them. We have gone very far. And the United States government now is sovereign nation. If they make a decision, that decision they will go only react in a way that they will see say we really take responsibility for what happened and we want to take action. And that is why we ask some of our citizens, we don't go, we don't overstay, we, according to reports, now that reason make we do some of this today, but make them consider, say, thousands and thousands of Sierra Leoneans, then dreams and they at stake.
Mr. Minister, the country them way been fall under this ban alongside Sierra Leone, then don't lift their own ban. We make many people they ask the question, say for example, your counterparts in Ghana, Waiting, then they do right. Where you they fail for do way up till now, your country still they under the list of countries them where them ban.
Well, we still get Equatorial Guinea. We still get Equatorial Guinea. We get Togo. It's inexcusable. I speak with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, na Ghana, na my very close friend. Our circumstances are different. If you go back to the original list, what the years been pulled, Ghana was not on that list. Ghana na be an after action. So for the Ghana go back and remedy the situation with circumstances and different. In diplomacy, a give and take. Maybe we'll not get what for give, for make or take, but we'll use the basic tools that we'll get right now and the small things that we'll get, ABC, we're able to offer diplomatically. We're trying to engage the United States government and also ensure, say, we keep the integrity of the consular section. Ghana is a different country from Sierra Leone. Togo and others are in this category. The other time people when they talk about Liberia, say Liberia stepped on remedy the situation. Liberia was never in this suspension. What did Liberia achieve now? What we already been get before the suspension. Liberia not been get over 12 months visa. Sierra Leone them they give you up to 3 years visa. So when them begin give Liberia 3 years visa, it became a celebration for the people of Liberia. That's understood. We not make excuse for your situation, but we know why we do so today. The only thing we put are the ask the people of this country, are they feel the pain of the people of this country, is for them all be patient with the engagement that we did right now. This is engagement that we're a high level engagement. We engagement then with the deal between the two countries and we not all just talk about the engagement and until we succeed, and we are doing it. For compare we in Ghana, the circumstances are quite different. Ghana was not on the list. Ghana came on the list as an afterthought, and Ghana may take certain measures that are not available to Sierra Leone, and measures that Ghanaians themselves will not say the situations are different between we and them.
Mr. Minister, the high-level engagement and diplomacy wey salon don dey pan on this particular issue we get for do with Sierra Leoneans them waiting at the US, we supposed for come back home. Now one we don't take a very long time. Outside the bottleneck day, we make even the grace period with them begin. That 3 months, it done, and up till now the situation don't seem for they get better, rather it get worse. Outside the bottleneck day.
So listen, nobody gave a grace period. The United States Department, every 90 days, they review the foreign policy. So it is this expectation people then get, say, in 90 days, this will be removed. No. When a decision like this is made, it's a long and well-considered decision. They're not a make out of today, somebody gets up and says...
The bottleneck day, we make up till now, salon name still in at the list of them countries here.
The bottleneck was clearly stated in the U.S. State Department's the presser. They say countries and Sierra Leone over citizens they overstay. So that is principally at prima facie Ghana at the bottleneck. What we are trying to do now is to prove to the United States that despite the fact say some of these compatriots and they do it and they do so, they make every effort for go internally into we visa system and ensure say we strengthen the integrity of the issuance of visa. May we also know say not all visas and don't suspend. Journalists and they go in salon America and apply on journalist visa and they issue. Sport people they go, then they apply on sport visa and they issue. Official visas.
That now because they give them exemption based on their profession, Mr. Minister.
Well, I'm sorry, not to be based on their suspension. If journalists, if they get records, say journalists and they go to they come because they have the US get records on everybody where they go. I make mention this morning that when they even deal with a high profile situation, we normally will not for talk, but now we'll get to begin to call people out. A senior official we've been dealing at the Ministry of Labor. They invite them for go for investment forum. Now America in August, they go in okay again. Situation like this. Not that the American government may not even know because they apply with an official passport when they get a visa, they go. They not come. Now the US government comes say, look, there's a certain person who used an official passport, obtained visa go for this particular conference, the person not come. So they pick on all of these as we try to remedy the situation. Every day, people in the make we backpedal on the successes that they make. Let's speak to each one and other as citizens. Say, look, let we not abuse these privileges. Let we not abuse these privileges. We are working, and by God in power, I am very optimistic that this problem will be resolved. Because this not reflect the health and depth of the bilateral relations between the United States and the government of Sierra Leone and the people.
Oh, that's not this one senior workman government from this ministry where you say, for example, the US government don't disclose to us, say it been go under a particular conference, it go not come back.
A certain Mr. Abubakar Sila would have been a deputy director at the Ministry of Labor. They go August, 30 they not come. Would they look for her?
What about the other Sierra Leoneans then, where now this same issue make the rest of the public, they now concerned? Because December like this, for example, a lot of Sierra Leoneans and they, where we know say, can happily one come back home, can enjoy with their family and go back. Most of them have been restricted because they're afraid, let them not come, they're not able to get access for go back. In terms of own documentation from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we are not able to track down on Sierra Leoneans them, we're supposed for don't come back home, we don't overstay?
Yeah. I don't get you. I'm sorry. I don't get you.
From on our documentation, now the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, immigration as well, we are not able yet for identify Sierra Leoneans the way we know say unlawfully they in America suppose for don't come but they overstay, because anybody where they travel with Sierra Leone document in terms of, for example, in conference where they can attend, I believe the Ministry of Foreign Affairs can get a list of them kind of people in there. From on your side, we are not able to track them.
No, we cannot. We not get the data for know when somebody they come back to salon if you go on a US visa. Every passport was Sierra Leone on their own. When they come to this country, they just stamp in, you have entered. So this record they come from the US Embassy after the suspension, we will only make effort for remedy the situation. So then they keep track now of those who don't obtain visa after the suspension of certain categories. For ensure their actions then not affect the progress they make for able to resolve this problem. So the US Embassy and themselves, they bring this data to we, say, hey, this person not carry it, this person not carry it, and we get report from State Departments.
Mr. Minister, how about the other issue where information that the U.S. government, they look for country them, third world country them, like Sierra Leone, for send certain deportee them. If we agree for taking people there as Sierra Leoneans, then go lift the ban. Because now the same issue, then they allege, say, country like the Ghana, Liberia been do, where them been get their own restriction or their own visa years them extended to certain amount of years. The US government will approach you with then conversation then they?
Well, I don't know what the people of Ghana do. If Nagani then do in terms of accepting, I don't know about that. And as it is right now, we don't get that kind of arrangement.
Is it true that a certain minister self do abscond na the United States when they look for, and just like how now they look for this senior official from the Ministry of Labor?
A blatant lie. Our minister will abscond. They will left their rumors here. It's a lie.
All right.
So
It's an untrue story.
At this stage, based on the conversations the money gets with the US as a government, when you the foresee say this go don't get over as an assurance to Sierra Leoneans them, where hopefully they think say on go able to resolve all of this. What you the foresee? How long?
Well, you know they put a timeline, but we do work very hard, and it's a priority for the president. It's a priority for all of us. It affects we all. So we did keep we best, and hope say very soon we will put this thing at the back of way.
All right, many thanks, Mr. Minister. We talked to we this morning and assure Sierra Leone people them. All right. Well, that's na Alhaji Musa Timothy Kaba, we in the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, but they talk to we inside that telephone interview there for assure Salon people and say it's still they on negotiation with the US government for ensure say they lift the ban with them being on Sierra Leone and them not forget certain category of visa. We continue with the breakfast show and earlier will be telling us say today we they can look at the 2026 budget and also the Finance Act, where the Minister of Finance last Friday even go lay the budget for 2026. And before that, normally then can go the Finance Act, where now the ministry they state how they plan for generate revenue for ensure say they feed on the budget. Well, the Finance Act don't pass and effective January 1st. It go begin for implement and the budget they now na parliament also a member of parliament and they can look at them critically and debate them before then go pass them. Well, the person when the technical person at the ministry where they in charge of implementing the Finance Act with in colleague them na the National Revenue Authority and save the budget na the financial sector where we get the pleasure for hosting this morning. Good morning, Mathew Dingie, and welcome to the Liberty Breakfast Show.
Morning, Khadija again. Morning.
All right. All right. Well, that now your studio guests will get this morning for can look at the budget and how they plan for get a revenue for ensure they then feed on the budget. But quickly, they'll just go na the Political Parties Regulation Commission, PPRC, as we all know, for about 2 to 3 weeks. Then give heavy fine to the APC and the SLPP. Then two parties don't pay their money there according to the press release where the PPRC been pulled for inform the public. We can talk to the executive secretary quickly for let it tell we whose kind statements then find they are so sent to the political party them as they find them say then they talk statements them where they're not supposed for talk, even though where the PPRC be don't want them. Good morning, Mr. David, and welcome to the Liberty Breakfast Show.
Good morning, Khadija. Good morning, Abel. Good morning, listeners and viewers.
All right, we see Usai Una be levied heavy fine them on the SLPP and also the APC. Then two parties don't pay them fine there. So, and now Una don't open a fresh page in terms of Una working relationship. Firstly, whose message where the PPRC thinks say Una don't send, we then find there so to the political party then.
Compliance with statutory instruments, that's the message. People have to know say the state is governed by principles, by laws, and that we have a civic responsibility not only to ourselves but equally to the citizenry generally. So that's exactly the intention of the fine. And the intention of the fine also for just Levian because we wish for, but again, it's in accordance with the provisions of the Political Parties Act number 25 of 2022. And it behoves free as leaders of the commission, they pay for the consolidated from taxpayers' money for ensuring we uphold the integrity or the sanctity of the very statute for which we operate under. So the fine, they just speak that the commission is in tune with its mandates, and quite apart from that, that political leaders and actors must be civic, must be civil, and must equally say they get a civic responsibility, not only to their membership, but generally to the citizenry of this country.
In terms of the fine we wanna be levied against the two political parties them, people on the question how wanna be determine the amount, because for the All People's Congress APC party their fine was 120,000 new leons and the SLPP 150,000 new leons. How wanna determine the fines them?
Yes, if we look at the provisions of section 39, and the emphasis is on section 39.2, and equally so we get reference to section 39.2b. It states a fine of less than 100,000 euros. So it behoves the commission, based on the nature and gravity of the acts committed, for actually institute or levy the fine. The cap is there, not less than 100,000. That's the ceiling. And let's put it into perspective. Also, who much is given, much is expected. The ruling SLPP have a lot to protect in terms of the governance space because they are the current party in power. So until who much is given, much is expected. So in a circumstance where the ruling party misconduct themselves, where they get the prerogative for actually maintain the sanctity of peace and cohesion, then automatically the commission just get a fixing we for levy that amount of fine. With the APC, we equally levy the same amount of fine, even though there was a slight variance, and that's the context why. And the law is very clear. We don't actually do anything out of the remit of the law, but we are always bound and guided by the provisions of the Act. And the Act make it very clear a fine not less than 100,000.
So this money where the two parties they don't pay, now what's in it they for?
Because the commission is subject to public scrutiny, and the commission subjective to audits on a year-to-year basis. And by way of by extension, the commission is accountable to the citizenry of this country. And that's the reason why year in, year out, the auditory and the content of our audit is being sent to the Public Accounts Committee for scrutiny. And in the circumstance where there are issues, we only see in the past when ministries, departments, and agencies, both controllers and head of institutions are both summoned. So the public will definitely, through the audit service in their auditing, we see within the commission don't do with the resources. But paramount amongst all what we intend to do equally that we embark on political education. Because we actually find out there is a seeming gap between the leadership of political parties and the rest of their supporters, especially in the regional and other layers within the states. And because there is this gap between the leadership in terms of information generation, information flow, and we see that most of the people, most of their supporters, members at that down level, not can actually be offered or get information regarding the operations and dealings of their respective parties or politics generally. So it's equally the responsibility of the commission, and that is exactly the path we'll go for equally provide political education, not only to the leadership of the parties, but equally so to their membership as well.
All right, many thanks for you talk to me this morning, Olusogun A. David. Now a pleasure for get you. Now we breakfast show as always.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's the executive secretary. Now the Political Parties Regulation Commission, where we talk about define them, we then get to the two political party, them APC and the SLPP, we don't pay them fine there. Well, they can now na studio, as we tell you today, we get conversation, we a very important conversation, we concern every citizen in a salon, we na the 2026 budget and the Finance Act, where Parliament don't pass. And today will be the 3 of the budget debates in Parliament. And after that, the member of Parliament them go past this particular one. We go make government begin for spend according to waiting the inside them budget. And as we tell you today we'll get the technical experts from the ministry we na in charge of implementation for make sure say all waiting at all list now the 2026 budget, especially the area of priority, they're able for spend the according to for bring development in the country. We get the financial sector between the studio with Mathew Dingie. Good morning again, Mr. Dingie, and welcome one more time to the breakfast show.
Thank you.
All right, let's start for look at budget implementation and also credibility of the budget. The government been promised a 2026 budget go be realistic and unagreeable for implement them. What in exactly when I don't put in place for make sure say this not go turn to any other promise we not able fulfill?
Okay, thank you very much. So that's why the budgets we they put them together, and we the not so only Ministry of Finance alone, we they sit down and put the budget together because you want for make it be credible. You get for involve other stakeholders as well, so discuss and exchange ideas, and then we put on the table the things that we believe in our government priority, and then how we feel say realistically those priorities will be implemented. So we start with discussions within governments called ministries, departments, and agencies. Then they implement them programs where the funds are provided to them, and then we also they sit with development partners, listen to them based on the national development plan we don't develop, which areas then they go on for coming and supports the government for execute the budget. And then of course government itself they look at own governance architecture, things that we get for do for ensure that the government machinery operates as if operate. and then pass all that through a directive where the cabinet take it to the Minister of Finance and say, let's sit down and put this document together. But underpinning all of that, those are all the plans, all the things you have to do. Now, how you get for raise the resources for implement them. So when I do, they always start with developing the Finance Act every year. When I go show we whose areas them who go bring in additional resources come for meet the demands them where the budget call for. So and that's we sit down, even those ones where they consult, because especially the private sector, when are then more they deal with economic activities in country, and then they pay most of the taxes. We sit with them, and so one for make changes here, and here. How that go affect on our business, how on go see them, or who's kind advice on go give for expand the tax base or for make some changes in the tax administration system so that people will go for comply and pay their taxes or go for raise the revenue. So all is a deep, lengthy discussions in and out of Sierra Leone and puts all these ideas together before we take them to cabinet and then to parliament. So that's how we engage to make sure the budget is credible. So we get the input of everybody we involve, not to just the input of the Ministry of Finance.
Different people get different perspective and feelings about what they don't see now the budget for 2026 and even the Finance Act. Different people interpret them in different ways.
Yeah.
So man, they see like it go bring more burden on citizens then in terms of the different side of it when I don't plan for his local revenue, then they see and say it will be burden instead of it can improve on the life of citizens. From a perspective of government, when una the day ahead for work with other stakeholders and for prepare the budget, how na they describe the 2026 budget?
Like the theme itself says, a focus on domestic resource mobilization for sustained economic stability and improved service delivery. So what we don't do, I know why people always get perception about, especially the proposals that will come in on raising revenue. Once you talk of tax, administering tax, all man they say they can make things difficult for people not go for pay, go raise prices or whatever. But you see, we economy don't grow. We rebase with GDP, I think about 2 or 3 years ago. And we don't find out, say, there are sectors in the economy where they not be well properly taxed because we be the focus more in agriculture, now we main area where they drive GDP growth and things like that. But we don't see the service industry really they contribute greatly to GDP, and we don't see manufacturing also don't improve, right? And even in the supply chain of other essential things in the market, we see technology-wise everything. There are lots happening in the economy where those times nobody pay attention to. So now when we bring in those tax measures, we don't see the market is gradually becoming efficient. In the past, for any commodity or product you talk of in Sierra Leone, now 1 or 2 company, you will say they carry it out and then they do them. So when you bring tax policy measures, it's difficult for them pass through and let people feel the impact because competition not there. You go give incentive to somebody, you say they can't do this kind of investment in country, you get all the concessions or whatever, but they even pass out down to the people for letting them feel the lower cost of those commodities because you don't get all those incentive exemptions and the rest. And also when you tax them, instead of you accommodate them by reducing the cost of production, let's say accommodate some burden, and they do them, they just they pass on that taxes to people because very few people they not be doing. But now almost every commodity or product you talk of in country, there's competition, right? So the market is open, it's becoming efficient. So now you find out, say, it is a more appropriate time for government to implement the policy measures here. And because of the competition with the people they get for benefits more and see the impacts rather than the perception that it's going to create increased burden on the lives of people.
Another issue again, we many time when they implement the budget here, now that's plenty MDA them, no they get the money way on a kingdom budget for them. For example, last year we see, even this year we see Budget Advocacy Network being pull a report where they talk about the local council them, we don't they get them disbursement on time, and also other MD them, we don't they come out, they say they're not able to do plenty of the activity them because they know they get them budgets. Waiting on a go do differently this year for avoid under disbursement.
Yes, so Dynamic really we focus on this theme because we see say in the past we depend so much on external aid coming through for support the budget, for implement the budget. And the difficulty we don't see is that they're not predictable. When we factor those external aid in the budgets, they make you increase your expenditure where you want for spend as a government, because it depend on that say where you can be able for spend. But to find out say during the course of the year, now we can get for implement all the reforms or measures them or targets them with them partners, and then they say you for do before they disburse the money. And so it come very, very late in the year. November, December, now the time you go finish up before they say they go to the board headquarters for approve before disbursement they come. The year don't done. But we be don't factor down in at the budget, you don't increase ministry allocation, and the money they can't see December. So it make them very unpredictable. And so we delay until we say just wait until we fulfill them criteria there, partners money coming, and then we disburse.
So now make for the last 3 years, the council them really tight in terms of them budget. Some even they allege say for the last 3 years, and I just one thing they will forget the exact budget we are supposed to forget them.
No, not only councils, like you say, even other MDAs, ministries, department, agency, or government, they all don't struggle for getting resources, right? They are getting the resources. I don't have the statistics here. I can provide it to you, but even this year we don't get resources to councils, and we don't engage them for change the dynamics of how they do the administration of the councils. We self don't encourage them for let them focus on internal revenue generation, because we know say devolution was established from 20 years ago, 2004, and we do all of that for support them for let them build capacity. Governments now you help them for set up the infrastructure, build out council offices for them, buy vehicle for them, computers, office recruits them, staff, pay them salaries, do all of that. So they were like babysitting and whatever, provide everything, running cost, everything. So we see say 20 years after devolution of functions, councils are now well positioned. They don't get all the capacity for let themselves begin generate internal revenue at the localities, and they able for begin assist government for even provide those services that are devolved to them, because devolved to them means saying that their responsibility now for implement them. So we don't really focus on how for strengthen their ability for raise revenue. We don't help them develop their automated revenue systems, where most of them now they administer property taxes, city taxes, fines, fees, rates, when they generate, and that we don't begin included the budget. Those resources, central government, they touch them.
So apart from the council, how about the ministries?
Yeah.
Well, I know tell them for do the same thing.
Yeah, well, not to all ministries and they generate revenue. Some of them are just like a cost center. Then our government just care for provide resources for them. But they don't get this challenge because, like I say, because of the predictability, lack of predictability in the resources coming in from out, now then they don't challenge in getting resources on timely basis. So it's not something we are denying. But why we don't say this year or 2026, let's make domestic resource mobilization the focus on the budget, so that we know we are not going to depend or wait. If resources come from outside, fine. It's come, we can use it and execute programs or with projects we're interested to partners where they provide those resources. But for we own budgets, they take now to parliament, one for make sure say now we own revenue and finance for Ghana domestically now they use for finance that budget. So you go will become more predictable and more assuring to MDAs them in 2026.
But for civil society organization like Budget Advocacy Network, in as much as governments can say when I want for raise domestic revenue, the country they depend so much on aid where they come, then believe say one big leakage we don't do forever, when are not able for tackle, now the area of tax exemption. Then believe say people they will not deserve for they get tax exemptions. Most of them they get the tax exemption, and government they lose a lot of money in that particular aspect. How now plan for address this implementing the 2026 budget?
Well, the tax exemptions, they're all legislated, right? The one the way they give tax exemption now either to international organizations that we covered by Vienna Convention, we they reciprocate for Sierra Leone as well globally, and then for investments in country, companies the way they come for doing investments in country, we want at the time we don't want for set up, the government help them for let them bring in, mobilize capital, come in, and then they establish their business, they provide those assets and services, not only for Sierra Leone, but even for export. You provide incentives for them for setup. But those are things where the legislature and through the cabinet say approve and they will take into parliament because now that the constitution say once you don't go parliament debate them, they look and say then exemptions say or concessions good for them companies here for operate, then it's no longer
now the amount of money we ban don't publish say government they lost because of that, like transparency for them not they because on another they publish that's then they get the exemption.
No, it's
because now
always
one of
the
the recommendation that way they make. So now for make them public the people and way they get the exemption.
every year in our budgets, the annexes, not all man they taking time for perhaps go through all. We have all those annexes on tax exemptions, waivers by institutions where they put there all day, right? So they are always available, and even in the reports they do economic bulletins or whatever, who they operate at the MOF websites, they are there. And when they do reviews there with other agencies, World Bank and the rest, we require for they publish some of those things and make them transparent. We make you see on the open budget surveys there, would they see they score higher grades because they make all of these things transparent. So we are publishing. So I don't know on their own parts to which extent then they ask for the data to be available. If they have such concerns, they can still send it to us. There is a right to freedom information bill or whatever. We comply with that. We can provide that information to them. If they want to see specifically whose individual or whose name or person we get that. But as I say, they are not like 100% discretionary who just they say, give this person waiver, give this. They go through the legal process, take it to parliament, and only parliaments get right for waive taxes for individuals as well as institutions. So take it there when parliament ratify, we implement.
Mr. Dingie, this issue of tax exemption seem for be problem. Even the last we get Geneva Banguranaya from the NRA, we talk about how many then they lost from this tax exemption, especially the one they wanna can give to big mining company them. Outside the problem we make the Ministry of Finance, NRA, and the other relevant authority, they're not able for SIDOM and try for look inside and tax exemption there we get for those big mining companies.
Yeah, like how they say, mining companies, mining are a very sophisticated investment, a very capital intensive, and not a thing way easy for let them recover the cost of investment within the shortest possible time. So when they bring mining proposals then come in country, they work with Ministry of Mines, work with NMA, work with Ministry of Finance, work with all agencies, communities, and other agencies of government that will provide services to them, the ports and others. The area perhaps of concern will be like if then they abuse the concession where they give them. When I go governments they frown at. If at all we find out say they abuse it. But what they are asking for usually now waiting for able for help them for mobilize because the people they provide the financing are private capital and they carry it. The banks say where they give them money then they or the individuals they invest, they want for make sure say they're able for can invest and with all the unpredictability will happen at the mining sector, prices of minerals where they're not able to get hold of, it can go down today, it go up tomorrow. They want to get like a stable environment.
How
and
they
the only
tax? Now based on the production.
now based on production and they pay royalties on the exports, then they pay PAYE for the people that they employ, then they pay withholding taxes, all of this. So some of the major things they within the tax exemption for now the capital items within the invest bring in country, like for building mining sites, right? All those equipments, machinery or whatever within they come with. Those ones we can still pay tax when they come with them because they're not able to recoup those things and pass them through because now exports and the exports. You don't put GST on Andy because GST where you pay them if you able to recover them. So they exempt them on some of those things. So then bring those assets in country, but when they mine the minerals, when they exports, then they pay the royalties and they pay if they make profits, they pay corporate tax or now make don't put in this finance tax, minimum alternate tax. So even if they make losses, you pay minimum alternate tax, you pay withholding tax, you pay GST, and you pay royalties. So those are the ones that will put into the agreements within they comply with and pay.
So from where you are sitting, you confident say that they generate revenue from them company there based on waiting the country deserve forget?
Well, that's a good one. Like you say, why we call them tax exemption and we make them ban, then they call them so. Because now concession they don't ask for. And when you ask for concession, it means you want for deviate a little bit from what's in the law. Now make I say no to one institution, not to Ministry of Finance alone, they sit down and give that deviation they, or they can go to the parliament. So let them look at them and see whether, because we get what we call the Extractive Revenue Industry Act, Extractive Industry Revenue Administration Act, where you go through that act, now they all the taxes that we mining companies for pay. It did it. The legislature for pay for royalty, which for pay for community development fund, or to communities, which for pay for withholding tax and all of these other taxes. But when they come, because they want for bringing, and governments want them for can create jobs, we want them for help for increase with GDP, because then they come with that kind of massive investment. You as government, you cannot do it overnight. So then they ask you, you know what? Can you reduce a little bit the royalty we want to put in the ERA now 6%, but can you make it 4% for us? We debate, we argue with them why we want to make it 4% and for how long? It will be forever. They'll say, okay, make it for the first 5 years or 10 years. After that, we'll begin pay the 6%, because the cost of bringing all the way heavy equipment here in country, and the banks then they give you so much time for repay. If we saw they pay at this rate, we'll run into loss, then the business close, then they have to pack out and go again.
You could wonder now if it right for Lona do 90% reduction on raw minerals.
Reduction 90, I don't understand what that mean.
Like for example, then company there so waiting in the produce, and some of the tax they waiting for pay, una do like 90% reduction on taxes.
No, it's not possible. It's not possible to get 90%. Like I say, most of them are some marginal things and from the ERA within they ask for, right? For give them a breathing space of 5 or 10 years for help them to recover, right? But you cannot give them 90% reduction on any tax and them for pay.
So how about the shares where the government supposed to forget and the guilty them forget?
Yes, like because in the Mines and Minerals Act, now we don't say government forgets the freeholding rights of about 10%. So the MLAs that we be done did before the act come into place. Now they would say when time reach for renegotiate them, we go trigger in that clauses. But for all new MLAs that we government they sign now with any mining company, would always make sure say that 10% free carried interest they inside, and government they take them up.
So are we making profits or losses as a nation in terms of the exemptions here?
For now, we are not making profits. For now. You see, because these investments, they are really, really long term. Now, after 15, 20 years, the countries that we see the benefit for mining, they don't get any concessions for the past 20, 30 years. And now the boom, they happen and they feel the impact. So for now, because most of if we see the companies there now, they're in the development phase. Marampa and the rest now from just 2021 they start. Now, FG Gold, we just say recently, just last week, they will get financial closure with Afrexim Bank for getting 300 million, but then they build their mining base. Leon Rock, now just last year, now they commission the plant, right? We invite, so now next year they're going to full production. So we don't give out, we don't give them all the space for let them come in and really establish the investments then, and we secure them for them. So now we expect in the next 5 years to 10 years, over the medium to long term, now they will get them benefits then, because the more they ramp up production and exports in large volumes, because this is a thing we need to 1 million ton, 2 million, when they begin exporting 20 million, 30 million tons a year, even though you see that rate, now they say the royalties, so it's 4% or whatever. But when the volume high, there's a lot of money we get for the council government. So now that they want to encourage them, they'll give them all what it takes, so that they go before bringing all the equipment they when they say for letting produce large quantity, we then say they will compete internationally, and government will benefit from that large scale production there.
On a revenue projection for 2026 big, how on a sure say on a go actually collect that particular amount there, and waiting on a backup plan just in case the revenue falls short?
Yeah, well, definitely for past the policies, them no more in the measures into law. Now one thing about the implementation when the NRA actually come in, because by act of parliament now they get the mandate for go collect now. We give them all the supports they need from the Ministry of Finance. We also can sit down, even when it can cause we for sit together with them taxpayers and discuss very complex issues or administrative issues where they border around compliance for the other companies that they pay their taxes. We support them, even if that for invest in technology. Even though NRA they get a percentage of whatever they collect for one, but we will see some certain capital investments for automate revenue systems. They're not going to use that money they for do them through the budget where they pay for those technologies, and we encourage other development partners like the World Bank, ADB, for give them money for invest in those technologies, because we know say NRA them money they're not going to do. So if you look at the waiting NRA don't do in the past 1 or 2 years on the investments on the technological drive for generate revenue, I think almost the tax handles and they're about 80-85% now we automated. And with the national switch, we also Bank of Sierra Leone don't support them with. They have all the tools now for really implement them tax policies and measures them where they not get for depend too much on human intervention, and those revenues will be honest. Now that make we believe say them for do better in 2026.
In terms of the 2026 budget in a people-centered budget, how una been determine the areas them we forget tax? Because
areas
for
wey we
example, that area we una put for that bottled water, now one way civil society they frown at, because according to them, even now where the amount of money no day on them, people they get disease them from water them, where different people in they produce. Now una don't can put tax on them. How una determine who side forgets tax?
That's not a misconception. Sorry about that, because bottled water from inception, not even now, they always they carry tax because now a value-added commodity, right? And GST from which GST don't.
Tax will come on them.
No, there's no added tax. Waiting we do on water. Now the one we then they use for industrial purpose in the Finance Act. If you read them, the one the way they use water for huge production for industrial purpose, mining companies, corporations, banks, financial institutions. The one the way they go uplift water from hydrants, right? When they go use them, now the businesses, they nobody pay no tax on it, right? And they are going to use them for commercial purpose. Now that water they now we don't tax. So well, people then they say now bottle water. I don't know really why they change them and say now bottle water. It's not about
joint press release where about 8 civil society then pull and get WashNet, then get CGG, Budget Advocacy Network, then tag and say 15% increments on the bottled water when they drink, and also the bouncer water.
they reference any section of the Finance Act we gets done there. The waterway gets taxed now imported. We say because we don't get all the companies now in Sierra Leone. Just imagine, because one thing we look at now job creation, one of the objectives of the budget, and the only way they able to create jobs now where you able to support your local industries them for making them say able meet the market demands, they make more sales, then say go able employ Sierra Leoneans, then Sierra Leoneans get sustainable jobs, because then they able to access the market and then products and they. So you don't get a lot of companies then, the Grafton, Sierra Water, all of these other companies, the way they produce water locally, we know them, right? Then they bottle the water and they do all of these things. All of those ones, then they compete again with the same bottled water where they come up from overseas, right? That one where they come up from overseas, now we don't tax. Because one for make sure say let people use we own water na yaso, the one we then they produce domestically. So if you say now you want left we own naya, you want drink the one where they come on India or Dubai or America or everywhere. Not the locally produced bottled water.
What about the bouncers? Not to the bouncers, then we like for example, if me wants bouncer for supply me, that GST when I don't put that 15%, not they apply on.
No way, that you are
household?
high-end user. Because for let you say in a bowser they use, then you are a high-end consumer.
When I did the civil society the entire say not a luxury for let somebody buy bouncer water from Guma or the private own them, not because water not there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because they probably we they look at how Guma they able for sustain that facility there. And one for support them for making them safe able for generate more revenue for sustain the operation. Anywhere in the world, that kind of volume of water uplift or whatever, it they carry tax. Now high-end consumption and they not to the policy where they go na a street tap or whatever for go get, not to that one day, because now for the vulnerable people, they cannot afford it. But once you can go pay for let them go uplift in the volumes from the hydrants or whatever, then you have the ability to do it, right? But that's why we make sure say not to the one way people they want drink, where they put in a sachet packets for sale or on a tap, or we don't produce by Guma where they run through the taps and come, not to down there with the tax. But you where they go get them from the source. Even it means how they call them the natural water resource management. Those are one of the areas they should get revenue from. For manage water and natural resource. It's a natural, just like the diamond, the gold, or whatever what they talk about.
They really complain
right?
about how Guma they talk about the human activities them where they happen to the environment, and then dam themselves they become dry.
Yeah.
So now certain community, also even Afriton, with all the support we World Bank don't give into the water sector, people still they buy water now. Then yellow jerry can them, and even if you call Guma for buy water at some point, and they say the hydrants dry, water no day. So now with this tax, it clearly shows they themselves they increase the money. When I say the budget now a proper budget, people-centered budget, how will I take the people into consideration, looking at the economy?
No, yeah, there are lots of things in the acts or these budgets we take people, the livelihood of people into consideration, apart from the water, because we look at other issues them on making cooking affordable, gas or solar energy equipment. They say all now for be zero rated taxes, because all of them are things that we people they need day to day, every day. But this water, what they talk about, we focus on high-end users and industrial use. Industrial use and high-end. And industrial and commercial, right? The burden we that possibly buy one Bowser, perhaps will pay. If I don't know if a Bowser now, if Guma they sell and say 100,000, then say 15%, you pay 115. We use on say that one till we buy, so say they serve you for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month. But that industrial man, in they go uplift that same source where you take from 50 times without paying anything. So who that they cause more burden for you when they access? Not them. It's not the individual. So if them pay the tax, then they for help Guma for making them for maintain those water sources so that people then go always get access to them. So that's what we are looking at. The one that we really the benefit from is not the individuals. Now the industrial people the way they go use them. The volume when they uplift a way past within individuals that they take. So there are lots in the budget on people-centered things with exemptions they don't do, and also for promote your local industry they produce basic things they use for cook every day, tomato paste and all of those things. Who believe say then they go help for bring the cost of living of those or the cost of those items lower in the market for people.
So with all the area they own don't put them tax increment there, it's safe for say una go in a position now where una they able generate enough revenue for feed into the budget, where the month's done, issues of paying salary constraint no go come again first, because it clearly shows say the budget, the Ministry of Finance most time when they struggle.
Of course, not only Sierra Leone,
Especially the last 5 years.
Globally, I know so when I say they follow economic development world over. If of recent we really say the US government even get shut down, now economic challenges because themselves they tackle debt issue, how for manage their debts, how for make sure say they return available, permissible levels. So every economy in the world they struggle, and how much more we as a country Sierra Leone, we say they go through the same. Now that make we they look internally, like you say, how we go able for generate we own revenue so that we go able for pay those basic things, salaries, debt service, and the rest. We they pay salaries, I think from start of the year to now, we are now in the 12th month with no external budget support. We don't come in for support with this year. As we speak, today is the 5th. We've paid up to November salaries. All public servants, nobody knows they say no get salaries. Teacher, police, lecturer, civil servants, servants, people who they work.
This December month, this Christmas.
When I now don't start. Yes, of
but
course.
I don't pay all man.
We don't pay November salaries. Somebody got salary. Nobody
government. The way government let them family no go on after.
Well, now we could not put press release panande. Now personal emoluments will pay on your accounts. You go reports now whether you don't get salary or not.
So about the issues that una can take loan for pay salaries.
Well, if
from the banks.
No, well, if we take loan or any advance, we can work with Bank of Sierra Leone. We say, okay, if revenue is slow for coming, this now what's impermissible in the law. If you look at the Bank of Sierra Leone Act, they allow we for take 5% of the previous year's revenue for always take them as an advance or facility from the central bank. And then you they liquidate them before that period they done or the month they end. So if we see say like where December don't start, so I don't check which revenue NRA don't collect the first, the second, the third at the project time. Say by end of December, almost then go for generate. That will push them, say, okay, you need to step up, we need for catch up all this. But because we won't pay salary, for example, before Christmas, I go say, okay, BSL, you give me this money, I'll pay the salary, but NRA, they will cover it by the 31st of December and you get the money back. So it's not like, say, you go take money for 6 months, 8 months, they not pay.
So it's not
now just like a bridge.
Money for pay salaries. It's normal.
It's normal. It's not, I don't think there's anything bad in that. Because now when you lend money, they you not pay them back, now ain't bad. But if you lend them for a purpose and then you fulfill that purpose and then you liquidate them, I don't think say there's any problem.
Or any bank currently?
No bank.
I don't pay the debt. So
No bank government they owe. The only possible government get business now with central bank. We deal with the central bank alone. Banks, we don't owe them. If banks want to give money to government at treasury bills and they go buy or bearer bonds and as security where then they owe, we mature then they send around for the government to pay them back.
First, another issue again with the Finance Act of 2026 where Parliament don't pass, we get for do with the new tax them and some of the measures they wanna put in place. Some business people they grumble say, wanna really squeeze them. How na able for balance revenue mobilization with protection of small businesses?
If I don't know if, for example, if you may give me one or two, but like I say, what's in this Finance Act do? We really protect local industries, small startups, business and startup. All of them say we other civil society when talk about concessions, tax waivers. When you look at our companies, their businesses they develop internally in country. Now they would give for making themselves able for catch up and compete externally. So they give away some of those things we forget now because believe say once they fully established, the future will be better in terms of them being able to produce or give more revenue to government. So if you tax all that they earn now today, then close, then tomorrow they are not there, you lose everything. So we really protect infant industries where they produce essential things like vegetable oil, these cooking things, and now we see them say even they export to other countries. Then they meet the local demand, right? Even those already doing light manufacturing, we the tax then competitors are now coming in country.
But the issue now that they protect bigger companies and they put more burden on small company, them small business, especially startup businesses.
No, I don't think so. I don't know like to what extent because the tax way all companies they pay is common. If not GST, you have to meet the threshold for you register and be an agent for NRA to collect GST. If you know they meet the threshold of 500 million turnover per year, you are not entitled to register for GST. But once you meet that threshold, you for register and be an agent for collect. If not corporate tax, now only when you pay profits, now you pay. So the only two don't put down now the minimum alternate tax because some of them then they make them books them in such a way that then they declare losses every year. Where they make them pay the corporate tax. So they say, okay, why should they declare losses? Because a self-assessment tax system now gets in Sierra Leone. Now you they show almost you get for big as profits, then almost you get for pay. But if you they declare, you they say now losses. Okay, well, NRA go say, well, based on your turnover, your sales, go they pay me 2% of enforcer, go they all them. Say when you begin make profits now, you will begin recover that money back from me. So these are just some of the.
You say, also really, because when I say when I want for let the country generate in revenue, especially for this 2026 budget, let the country depend on the local revenue. Also, in the areas that we want to focus for raise this money because now you ask business people, then go tell you say, sell no day, better no day, profits no day. How for pay tax safe now work?
Yeah.
Also, in the areas that we want to focus for generate this revenue, we go for fund 2026.
The areas in clear like as on the corporate sector this time around. Like corporate tax, for example, during the COVID, we get COVID, we want for the impact business them they shut down, will be reduced the rates to 25% for corporate tax. But we don't go almost 5 years now after COVID. We see, no, things are stabilized, supply chain networks, they're all okay again. So they'll raise that corporate tax back to 30%. The minimum alternate tax will now be 1%. We increase them to 2%, right? Then we get other excisable commodities, like tobacco, these sin goods, shitty goods or whatever, we increase the excises on them, right? And then I know there's a controversial one there, cement, of course. We put also an excise on cement of 10 leons. So these are all the areas, additional areas that we'll put together. We will not say we'll bring in this additional revenue for the budget.
What are the major change inside the 2026 Finance Act where you believe say go help government for generate steady and predictable revenue?
Now the major because now when we look at excises, right? Because those are predictable revenue sources, right? And you look at your GST, now we could reduce the exemptions. We get what will be called taxable supplies or exempt supplies. We don't look inside all that list of things that they may exempt from GST. They will look one or two, they will say, you know what? They are so therefore begin attract GST now. So we don't pull them from the exemption list, we don't bring and cancel the taxable supplies list. We'll look at it and say, like magazines, now they this industrial water day, because that's when they now be exempt supply. But now we don't bring them. So these are areas where we begin get revenue from, where nobody gets revenue. And then the excises on cement and the rest, petroleum products, all these ones will help with for raise more revenue in 26 than what we collect in 2025.
Plenty people they complain say tax enforcement too selective. What do they do for make enforcement fair, transparent, and it not be political?
It is not, because NRA, like I say, they do all what we can for support NRA for implement the law. You see, the tax authorities in any country, they for be the most feared, the most revered people the way everybody for no say where tax authority can be for whatever. They have to enforce the law, because the only will go parliament, will they on the privilege of the finance bill, because they say raise, that then they represent the people, raise concern about these new taxes and whatever. But one thing they kept saying, they say, with the enforcement, they believe saying are not too strong. If we enforce more, we will collect even based on which the admin standard, and we increase the taxes. So waiting our response, we say we are happy with such comments they come up from like the parliament. When then they urge Ministry of Finance, NRA for enforce, because some of the people that way no one for pay tax or whatever, when they push them, they are the one where they go cry up there and say they don't shut me business, they don't waiting there because they are politicians. They say they come and can't help them for NRA, left them and let them do their business as normal. And then will they lose the tax, right? So they support NRA in whatever way. If NRA go now your business, then find out you are not compliant. If they shut it down, you call all of us, we don't talk to you. Because go and comply, pay your tax, and then you do business as normal. Because the states now they suffer. So that's the support we give to NRA, and they have it 100%. And I believe say with that enforcement and compliance strategy, and on top of the investments what they do in them, right now they procure additional 5,000 electronic cash machines for them. We by this December then go receive them, and January then go begin for roll them out back to more businesses them. Because some businesses when they use the cash machine, they say, okay, well, me competitor across the road do not get me get. So when I make myself need to use them, because and the CC way they sell, they need to use them. So they make the NRA get more of these machines, make sure say all the businesses the way GST register, they all get them. So that will increase on the compliance of the taxes.
Salary increments for different workers, them now government, for the 2026 budget. Now, one way discussions be done going at the social media since the budget come public. How on determine how on do the incrementing?
Well, we look at other than done it, because it's not easy for everybody go at one go, because the wage bill now something we very, very sensitive. You don't want for just announce. It better let somebody in salary they gets now you able to sustain them than you see the increase and they're able for pay them. So if you look at the strategy how don't they manage the wage bill in the past, not to all man will be the wage bill increase at the same time. What we don't do for the past 3 years, we don't try to meet the demands of teachers, university lecturers, right? Security forces, the military, the police, correctional service, fire for officers, ONS, and this guy. All they want for the past 3 years will be agree on a salary increase path. We don't implement, we don't almost done them. So the next category of public servant they will look for this 2023 budget now are the civil servants. Civil servants have gone a long time waiting until they get salary increase. So now they now will say, okay, we don't take care of security forces, we don't take care of teachers, health workers, we don't do adjustment for them all these past 3 years. So 2026, let's focus on the civil service and give themselves some salary upgrade so that at least themselves will begin match up with within the other public servants and on the get.
All right, in case you just tune in, this is the breakfast show. And today with we in the studio, we get the financial secretary, Mathew Dingie, where they talk about how eager for within colleagues them now both NIA and the Ministry of Finance, then they implement the 2026 budget and also the Finance Act, when and then go use for generate revenue for feed into the budget. Then we can look at priority spending and accountability. The budget say education, health, and food security na top priorities them.
Yeah.
How una go make sure say the money go directly to the services, not overhead cost and also wastages?
Yes, of course. So we they engage them, especially health, education. In fact, the can say we partners them. They don't even bring in what they call social spending targets because they self concerned that in the midst of these global shocks where they go economic, you get for protect the vulnerable people and you get for make sure say those basic things, those services, they are always available. So now we have what we call social spending in the budgets, and they scale up the budget on like school feeding, right, for the education. We they move school feeding from almost or $30 million to like $50 million in 2026 alone. That takes a huge portion of the education budget because they don't see this school feeding program gets significant impact in the education sector in making sure that speaking and they stay in a school and they get fed. So parents they not get for worry too much, say unable to send me picking at school because I not get lunch for game. But we go to school at least and they go feed them, they go eat there and they go pay attention before you come. So then scale up $50 million, which is going to spend in 2026 to support that. And that's it in addition to still continue for pay the exam fees, the school fee subsidies, and all of these other things. The health sector, again, the same thing. There are programs there for protect the procurement of drugs, for the free health care program, and even for the cost recovery drugs. They protect all of those things and even the supplies to the hospitals for make sure say they are run efficiently. We see programs where they work with partners and for bring electricity in almost all health facilities across the country, solar, renewable waiting. These are things we allow them to come in so that the facilities at the hospital they go always they work. They never say now because fuel not they for putting a generator and make lights not they for do basic things then. So these are all the things that we do in this budget where they support service delivery in health, education, and even agriculture.
Different reports in the show say government debt still high. Example like the World Bank reports we just come on talk about the debts way still high. Most plan wanna get for reduce borrowing so that the country no go on into deeper fiscal hole.
Thank you. Two things that we don't drive the borrowing. Again, one, because like I say, if we not be the focus on domestic resource mobilization, it means say we will depend on aid to come in and not come for close that gap that you go borrow. And secondly, if they do projects them, we'll for use for get long-term financing sources for finance them, but we use short-term with treasury bills or whatever for finance, like road construction. Those are not things that we they go take 90 days, 1 year treasury bills for go take money for pay for. Now for them, if you look for them 10 year, 15, 20 year bonds and toll those roads and things like that. So that's now don't bring we to where we are. These are years of problems we don't accumulate to this. We don't make that debt still accumulate to that day. So what we don't do in a medium-term debt strategy, we don't change the approach as to how we contract debt. Now, in the next year or so, you know, your RCFC government, they do 1 year bills again. 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10. Will they go to the long end? Because we believe say that's the only sustainable way, and that's they bring the cost of borrowing down. So they change that. So we they try for relinquish all those 1 year holdings where banks then get. Government they try then they refinance them. If you are refinance them to the 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, or we pay them down. We can pay them off, and then you can take and you go invest them in something else. So they go on the long end. And then secondly, we need to borrow again domestically for financing large infrastructure projects. We don't do that because that's they put unnecessary pressure on the rates. Now we could see interest rates being go as far as 41%. Because the banks they know say government is too desperate to get money to invest on this project. We say no, we don't reduce our appetite. Now we select. Now if you look the budget 2026, we select only roads then water or energy projects that we believe say we able for finance and complete, and not to all roads. And we've been publishing this budget projects that would even defer, so that people they know say we're not going for implement the wire so next year. So no need for making you can begin put pressure on the budget. So that they make our appetite for borrow very low, and then they make the rates come down and the debt. And then the revenue they generate now, why we say domestic resource mobilization. If you look at the 2026 budget, for the first time after 5 years, I've also been director of budget for a long time before FS and the rest. Now with the project for get a budget primary surplus of 1.8% of GDP. Right? So that tells you we are collecting more revenue, we spend less, that surplus they will use them for pay down with debt. So that's the help for make clear tomorrow in the next 2 or 3 years, with debt stock get for come down, and then the interest rates will come down. So now those are some of the strategies we don't put in place.
Misplaced priorities and also misuse of funds, especially from the MDA them. Now one we don't be big concern for the Ministry of Finance. How una go ensure say MDA they no misuse or fail for account for the different budgets where una they give them? Any new tools they way una want for introduce in terms of tracking the MDA then spending?
Yeah, we can do your own parts. But you see, the good thing about governance, every institution get their own role for play. We primarily, we responsibility for generate resources and give to government agencies for go spend based on the programs and proposals we then carry it to we cabinets approve, saying that this you for spend per way parliaments don't give it. After we don't release that money, they will not get roll again. To be very honest, that's not the role of Ministry of Finance. If we're giving you money based on the budgets approved or whatever, you have other institutions of government when they for go after una now and check whether una be use that money for the right purpose or una report. So that's why audit service is there. That's why anti-corruption is there. That's why Public Accounts Committee of Parliament is there. Now they work on it. It's not if we say we go after you back, chase you how you spend the money and you spend. For me, when you come next year for your budget, we will still ask you how you utilize the funds. But that not go prevent we from giving you resources again for the next programs there. But the bodies or institutions they were responsible for make sure say you account for those resources. We they left the let them do it because then the constitution give that power, now then the law give that power for do. It's not really for Ministry of Finance to chase them.
So based on the whole 2025 budget we wanna implement, going to 2026, what's now the pointers them we go really show say the 2026 budgets go make it better and easier for people in terms of generally the economic output, how people don't complain, say things are hard. 2026, why don't for be hopeful? What are the pointers?
Yeah, the pointers are because we expect the economy for grow. Again, because whenever the economy grow, it means there is potential for job creation, there is potential for making the living standards of people improve, there is potential for more income in the pockets of people because of the jobs they already create. And then because we are supporting our local industries for now produce the essential things that we need for produce we own food, because we on the feed salon agenda very actively. Where they go on, we see where they produce rice, where they produce other food stuff that we now we say they consume. Why should they support all of that? That's they give you the assurance say, and because the economy they go, people their lives will be better in 2026. It's not government they always come and say, okay, now maybe they can put the money directly, look, go put in their pockets, go spend. But it creates the avenue for the private sector for thrive. people who want to invest, let them come and invest. They create the jobs, create income for Sierra Leoneans. Sierra Leoneans get jobs. They pay them at the end of the month. Then they meet their basic needs, where they need for meet. Government union employees, where they work for them in the security sector, governance sector, whatever. You pay them at the end of the month. Then they say people for meet their own needs. So, and that's why they generate revenue for meet all of those services. So I believe say 2026 definitely get for be better because there is potential for the economy for grow, and they get for grow by about 4.6%.
It will be unfair to the one they watch with this morning. Even we safe as citizen, for let we don't talk to you throughout, we not make mention of the cost of living we still high. And this not a secret. How the 2026 budget go ease pressure on the ordinary man, not to just long-term plans I they try for talk about. Waiting at the immediate impacts where the citizen go feel.
Well, immediately now we will begin to see the impact of the lower inflation we don't get on prices. Because governments need to produce the goods or services the way all citizens they consume. Now waiting they out there in the markets where they want access to, whether na rice, whether na other foodstuff items, whether na transportation, housing, the basic things. That's what they want. So because we don't bring inflation for over 55%, now we're talking of 4% single digits. These things they get to what we call lag effects because now after 1 year, 2 years, you begin to see the effects. We believe say from 2026, this low inflation will get, it will begin to trickle down in prices of goods and services gradually, and people will see prices of goods and services they come down and they will afford them. And then salary, they begin get more purchasing power, and we go for help them. And then of course, we don't give incentives on lots of other things like I don't say. We for help the local producers them for produce more and put those things out in the market, and we go make people then get an abundant supply where they're not going in short. Because if we don't get shortage in rice, we don't get shortage in cement, in petroleum, a lot of these things, the affordability of those things alone in the markets, they help for making people their lives better. So these are the things that we do. And of course, government, they increase salaries, like I say, for civil servants, and we don't do for teachers, health workers, and security forces, and all of these people. So this will help really for improve the standard of living of Sierra Leoneans. And that's going to make lives better in 2026 compared to now. We are hopeful, and we pray that like how the global economy is shaped down, so let no other shocks not come where they bring disruption again and then things begin go behind. But if how will they continue saying what would they anticipate 2026 with this low inflation, interest rates don't come down, the foreign exchange, they don't stable for the long time. All of these they begin get impact on prices and things will be stable, and people will predict and they'll say, okay, I can do more business now and I will create more jobs for people.
The subsidy removal now one of the hardest decisions. Any plan there for cushioning the effects by transport, fuel, food for the citizen then?
Yes, so that's why we invest a lot in public transportation, right? With subsidies for public transportation. And then, of course, there are lots of other social protection programs that within the budget we government still cover, right? If you look at NAXA, if you read the budget, they are scaling up cash transfer programs, food for work programs, you understand? We then get for implement next year. And then, of course, the subsidies in the budget or the social protection programs, there are so plenty that almost all the public services them where governments they provide, they are all subsidized, right? From these health related ones, almost you don't pay, they're almost free. And then you took education where everybody concerned about all of those services, and then they scale them up more and more. Agriculture, the incentives that are there are so many tax breaks and everything to support local farmers, give them inputs, with the supports, even now agriculture try for create a program for help those that way they produce feeds for farmers locally, give them incentives so they go produce them feeds. They need to import always and go to import them. So they go to produce them and they supply so they go for ramp up their own production. And there are projects in the pipeline where they deal with livestock production from ISDB, others the way they deal with food production from World Bank where they continue. All of them projects there so will really help in 2026 for make things better for people of Sierra Leone.
Any mechanism there for quarterly budget performance report?
Yes, that's ongoing.
Mm.
We always they do that by at the aggregates level. We look at with performance, revenue and expenditure, almost we targets we say for collect, almost we collect whether we surpass or we get shortfall, everything at the reason. We publish that report still at the MOF website every quarter. We put that up. And then also even for MDAs, there is performance contract management where they show later they report on a quarterly basis or semi-annual basis on how then they execute their budgets and waiting at the challenges within they face in budget execution. So that one we they do one with that is the Ministry of Finance. We do that with our MDAs. We do that with NRA. We work with Bank of Sierra Leone, all the other economic sector agencies. Then we assess with performance almost on a quarterly or monthly basis for see how they fare on.
We don't see many times if government's not able for achieve things we don't get outline for the year, so they want for achieve. Complaints can come, excuses can come, like for example, external shocks we can happen. When I foresee any or waiting on I put in place in case any external shock happen 2026, but the people them are able for take care of things them on don't project on for do 2026.
Yeah, we get one section always at the budget what they call risk to the budgets. We don't plan all of these things, but perhaps some things then they will definitely go be beyond government in control for handle, let's say it's about, but we anticipate them and we put modalities in place for addressing. I make like institutions the way they deal with that, we capacitate them. Say like the National Disaster Management Agency, we really support them for capacitate them. We don't bring in a whole World Bank project where they build for them a brand new EOC center for give them capacity for really respond to like climate shock things, disaster will go happen because these things are natural. You can't tell. And so internally, those ones that we know that could affect when a disaster related, we try to protect that by providing the right kind of resources for agencies of government with for respond to those risks and tackle them quickly so they don't get that kind of bad ripple effect on the economy. But the external ones, they are definitely out of our control. If they come in and they happen, we can work with our partners. We always switch with them. They have programs we can call upon and we will say, okay, because this one day beyond we control as a country and they affect everybody globally, so they can come in and see how they can help us. So those ones we see to work with, we don't work on disaster management strategy, then we don't work on climate risk strategies, we don't work on so many other strategies like with the World Bank, the ADB. World Bank don't publish the climate disaster the CCDR reports or whatever. We don't do all those strategies and things that we don't put in place so that in the effect where some shocks happen with the beyond ability of government, how then as partners will come in for support with for address those shocks.
Lastly, FS, if by mid next year, the budget's not a performance planned. Waiting at the corrective actions on ready for take. Una go cut down on spending, una go revise taxes, or una go borrow more.
Well, we can do what we call a supplementary budget. If we look at the performance of the budget for the first 6 months, and then we see say things are not going as planned, then we sit down and recalibrate the budget again. And then we can go back in the parliament for either go revise the expenditure downwards or the revenue targets and revise them downwards based on the information we'll get. But if we see the information we'll get, the should will get more resources than anticipated, they will go revise them upwards, and then we give the parliament approve and back, and then we keep forward it. That's some of the things that we don't do this year. Like you see now, even with the IMF, I think we're gonna follow the press release. We will reach staff level agreements with them. They are concluding the review with us, and by December 16, God willing, then we'll go to the board and approve the program. So they say there's a lot we don't do for tackle all of these economic challenges. They say all the indicators now in the economy, they are going very well in terms of growth, inflation, interest rates, and foreign exchange stability, and all of these things, revenue generation, expenditure control. We don't really ministries the way they complain, so they are really doing it genuinely, not because they hate government, but we don't really tighten up. Because for you get all of these positive indicators on the economy, you have to give in something. You cannot continue business as usual. You give in. If you compare our capital budget, what we spend 2024 to what we don't spend to today, when are the 12 months of the year, it's over 200% under spending, right? But we have to do that because we get for consolidate, we get for reduce with debt stock, we get for make sure say interest rates come down, and we get for make sure say the economy move in the right direction. Where we get the resources there as expected, we could begin for spend back as we should.
All right. So many thanks, Mathew Dingie, we join with this morning for talk about waiting on a plan for do as soon as they implement the 2026 budget alongside the Finance Act. Now, a pleasure as always for getting you now as the technical experts for can explain the technical side of the budget and how on a plan for work on revenue mobilization with the National Revenue Authority. Would they watch the budget and we're going to monitor key areas them, especially the August for do its cost of living.
You guys know the budget more than us now.
Especially this area for do its cost of living because we all they're gonna mark it to know how prices the entire. So we'll hold you by your word. Definitely. By next year we'll call you again. Say FS and this will be sale.
They say joy is coming. 2026.
I know it's not talking. What can them talk now? They know happen.
Yeah, they can happen.
We all want.
Yeah, we all want.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, now they end the breakfast show for today. And of course, we just want to take this opportunity on behalf of all we colleagues them na Liberty TV for say a big congratulations to one of the owners them and managing partner of Liberty TV, Mabel Kaba. We graduate from IPAM with BSc in Public Sector Management First Class. Wow. We just want to say congratulations for the hard work. We see the amount of effort we put in the last 4 years for ensure say you come out with flying colors. Congratulations to Liberty TV, Mabel Kaba. We wish you all the best and we know say you will continue for go high, high, high. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Well, now they end the breakfast show and one for say, oh, Aisha also get a lawyer. We colleague again, Aisha Mansare. Of course, all the social media posting. Sure. When they see that now from Aisha S. Mansare, self yesterday graduate with a law degree from Frabe College, and hopefully they can get a lawyer in the house. So in case one for go against the IMC code, it go draw away attention. So congratulations. Congratulations, Aisha. One for say we're proud of Una. All we come out with flying colors and we look forward to more academic achievement and celebration. Mina Khadija Bangura, they say have a blessed weekend.
All right. Until we meet again, may welcome back to get a good weekend and goodbye.
At Farmos, freshness isn't just a promise, it's our way of life. From raw and smoked catfish to kanya peppers, beignet, rice and gari kanya and natai. From premium crayfish, ogiri and fufu to smoked chicken, fresh eggs from the farm to the fridge, country chicken and garden fresh vegetables. Try our habanero pepper, gari, hot pepper sauce, pure honey and so much more. All locally produced, organically grown, harvested fresh every day, and hygienically processed. A fresher taste, healthier foods, stronger communities. Farmos, fresh from our farms to your home. Visit Farmos at 1 Fode Drive Hill Station, Freetown. Call +232 74 00 0044.
select alone also every decision they touch the life of plenty people. One program they bring the voice of the people to the heart of politics.
This na Politics and the People, the program where they give the power to the people, explain the truth, and bring the leader them close to the citizen them.
Real discussion, real voice them, real impact. Join the debate and make them hear your voice.
Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. na you platform where they turn up for the truth and civil engagement. Only on Liberty Online TV.
Let me talk about politics.
Let me talk about people. Term them like this, where politics they shape the future, career they define we path them, and the economy they touch everybody in life.
Big thank you to
One program where they ask the hard question them and so bring the answer them close to you, face to face with the movers and shakers. The voice them will matter, the issue them will count. One time per week, one big name, one big issue. One-on-one on Liberty Online TV. Every Friday, 8 to 9 p.m. with Khadija Bangura. One-on-one, only on Liberty Online TV.
You are watching Liberty Breakfast Show on Liberty Online TV.